From the depths of the dungeons to the tavern brawls, save the king, killed a giant. We've been through it all. I could fill up a tome, but you're not coming home. Well, we all saw it happen. We're the ones you saved. Gonna light you a candle, gonna tell your tale by the light of the moon. We'll remember you, dying a hero. Tried to help you with that diamond, but it wouldn't save your soul. And on that fateful day, the evil wizard came. Now everybody in this realm is singing out your name. Can you hear us sitting out there in the astral plane? Our adventures together went to hell and back. Spent the day slaying dragons and escaping traps, but massive damage is done. Now you're really gone. But we'll remember you, dying a hero. Tried to help you with that diamond, but it wouldn't save your soul. And on that fateful day, the evil wizard came. Now everybody in this realm is singing out your name. Can you hear us sitting out there in the astral plane? We'll remember you, dying a hero. Tried to help you with that diamond, but it wouldn't save your soul. And on that fateful day, the evil wizard came. Now everybody in this realm is singing out your name. Can you hear us sitting out there in the astral plane? Can you hear us sitting out there in the astral plane?
Hello and welcome to Office Hours. Hope you're all doing well. I'm excited. It's been a while. It's been like 3 weeks since we had Office Hours. So you know, Valentine is here as well. She is here for Office Hours. She's ready to help out however she can. She's just sitting here. She's taking notes. She's the treasurer. Okay, team, welcome to Office Hours. We got a bunch of stuff to go over. Let's see. Where should we start? Oh, okay. So we're going to talk about starter set. We're going to talk about a DMing 101 event. We're going to talk about some review logic. We're going to talk about some tag updates, the GM profile revamp, some promotions around D&D Beyond maps, some vetting GM stuff, a lot of good stuff. And of course, at the end here, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll try to get to everyone's questions with as much time as we have. As always, if I'm not sharing something, or if I'm talking about it, I'm sharing my screen and I'm not, let me know in the chat. If you can't hear me, let me know in the chat. The dream's gone. Your birthday's soon, and you recently hit 1,000 games. I always love it when a GM hits 1,000 games. Okay, so first we're going to talk about review surveys. So we sent out a survey to a bunch of GMs about like, hey, what do you think about some of these review updates? And we got a bunch of feedback back from GMs. This is going to be kind of synthesized. Hunter's going to go over and synthesize it for a future office hours. It's a little more in depth. But let me tell you some of the big things that GMs were really excited about when it came to reviews. GMs were all about having a pinned review. GMs were all about having being able to sort reviews by superlative. GMs are really for showing only verified reviews or sorting by verified first. And then being able to filter reviews by one shot and campaign. That's what was really, those are like the big things that came out on the GM side of the survey. Now, when we interviewed the players, they had a completely different thing that they wanted. Players really wanted to be able to sort by highest and lowest review. Players wanted to be able to see, sessions played as the highest. So the thing that players wanted the most is how many sessions has a player played with that GM that the review is for. The second thing they wanted the most was be able to sort reviews highest to lowest. And out of all those kind of sorting features, the third one would be letting GMs pin a review. So the pinning reviews was kind of like the lowest on of those three. The biggest thing that players want is be able to see all reviews ordered by highest played games. That's what's most important to players. And then following that is be able to sort by highest and lowest review. There'll be some more stuff, but one of the big things is we're going to talk more about this as we synthesize it further. But we want you to know, like, hey, this is what you want. This is what the player wants. And try to reconcile that. Because a lot of GMs had also talked about the idea of like, oh, it'd be great if players could share their reviews, the little share button. Players overwhelmingly had no interest in ever sharing their review. Now, some GMs might want to start sharing their reviews, and the share button might be great just for the GM's own kind of promotion. But a lot of GMs in the survey were like, I don't want to really share my own review. I feel, which is more leaning on imposter syndrome than anything else. Like, I don't want to hype myself up. I feel it's you know, I can't remember the exact wording, but people were hesitant to hype themselves up. So that's why, like, you know, the share button reviews probably won't make it to the product because players don't want it and GMs don't seem that's something that they're going to use. But what's funny is that we have, you know, thousands of GMs, right? But sometimes people think, hey, there's 20 people who said that they want this. It's got to be something that's really, really popular. And that's not the case. And that's what we're kind of seeing with some of these surveys. So we're excited to do more of them as well. Okay. We have completely migrated the entire site to AWS, Amazon Web Services. This is going to help. It's going to be easier for us to integrate our infrastructure with others. And it's also going to provide us better logs, which, better logs by what I mean by better logs is more reliable logs. So if there is a problem, we can actually identify it a lot quicker. But that was a big project, took about 3 weeks, and we've just finished that. Let's see. That was that. Okay, we can talk about DMing 101 in a little bit. Split out tags. So if you now are running Pathfinder or Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, when you select that on your template, you can also select the setting or the adventure path or module that you're running for that. We've kind of split those tags out. Those used to be part of themes, but now adventure and setting are its own separate tags. So keep that in mind if you are running. A lot of Pathfinder people haven't updated theirs. A lot of the D&D folks have. So if you are running a Pathfinder game, go into your template and make those edits. Okay. The GM profile revamp is still underway. That's probably about 2 months out. We are really focused like so much on starter set, and I'm going to be showing off some of that today to y'all. I hope you're excited. It's a talking point. I don't have anything to tell you about it right now, but there is going to be a pretty big promotion around D&D Beyond maps. D&D maps is going to be there's going to be some kind of promotion coming up down the pipeline. So if you are interested in getting on the D&D Beyond side of promotion stuff, figure out maps, get good at maps, learn maps, etc. So you have the edge, but that'll be coming down the line in the future. And that also might be tied to starter set, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Starter set's probably going to eat up a lot of our time today. We've already started the programmatic SEO project to have landing pages for, like our top 20 game systems and, our top 20 game systems, like every module for Pathfinder and D&D Beyond. And then of course settings. That should be really, really exciting. Vetting GMs. We're still working on a good way for this, but there's some GMs who don't put in the time, or they don't understand the kind of baseline expectation of a professional GM. And it's like a 3 to 5%, maybe 7% of overall GMs that would join. And so we're trying to figure out the best way to vet those folks out. One of the things that we were thinking about that we are not going forward with, everyone listen to me very carefully. One of the things that we were thinking of that we are not going forward with was requiring every new GM to have at least 5 unverified reviews before they can list games. And we looked at a bunch of GMs who've succeeded on the platform, and we noticed a number of them never got 5 unverified reviews. So that is why we decided not to continue to explore this, because we've seen really successful GMs who've provided a very reliable level of games that did not meet that minimum. So it's something that we are still exploring. One of the things that we were also looking at is just a kind of a more intensive application process, and that is something we're going to continue to explore. We're kind of looking at our best GMs and kind of seeing how they different data points around them and seeing how we could actually survey for that. But there's gonna be some stuff coming in the future. It's something that's kind of like it's taking up about like 8% of my time. And I really want to find a really good solution for that, because I want to make sure that there's some people that start playing and they think it's Reddit. And they think it's just another forum to post on. And there's people who are dedicating a lot of time and a lot of energy. And we want to make sure those GMs who are putting forward the best foot and the best version of themselves are the ones who are getting in front of great players. So it's something I'm looking into. It's going to be really great once we figure a solution out. But one of the solutions we were thinking of, we decided to axe. That doesn't mean we might bring something like that up in the future, but right now that does not look like it's the solution we're going to explore. Okay. DMG celebration. Okay. Here's the next thing. There's going to be a Dungeon Master's Guide celebration. Right now we're having the Player's Handbook celebration. There's going to be one for the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's going to be another adventure. It's going to be really exciting. Of course, that's where the magic items are. Like lots of good stuff that's going to come out. So one of the big things that we are going to be talking about with the Dungeon Master Guide is Wizards of the Coast, aka D&D Beyond, wants to do a bunch of workshops for newbie DMs. There are a lot of folks that they feel like want to finally make the jump to being a dungeon master in the 2024 rules, and they would like part of the Dungeon Master's Guide celebration to contain a bunch of workshops run by professional dungeon masters for newbie GMs. So if you are a dungeon master and you are excited about the DMG for the 2024 rules, start thinking now what kind of workshop you'd like to run. We're going to be opening applications soon about this entire process, so you can get involved. But the celebration will be not only like a new adventure. Oh, I can't tell you what the new adventure is. I know, but I can't tell you what it is. But I will tell you it uses the same characters from Uni in the search for Uni's horn. So if you already have those character sheets, like those are the same people used in the next adventure that's coming up. So the next event with D&D will be Dungeon Master workshops and the new adventure and any other new games around the 2024 edition of D&D. So that should be great. I can't ask players I've been a GM for in other places as similar to SPG. They've asked me not to take players off platform. I don't know what that question means clockwise. Question: will the favoring good GM's tools be significantly weighted to how many games they run? Will the favoring good GM's tools be significantly... Ross, can you rephrase that? That'd be great. Dreams Gone PHP Celebration has been fantastic. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear that. Sounds like a very exclusive for RPGs. I'm very confused. Maybe I missed something. Would love Midgard as a taggable D&D setting. Question: will non-WotC settings that reach a threshold of renown someday be included? Keith Langley: yes. Right now we're working on things that we know have traffic to them, but since Midgard has a very low search volume on site, it hasn't made the cut. I think if we continue to maybe do more stuff with Cobalt Press, we could absolutely add Midgard as a potential setting, along with some others, like third-party settings, et cetera, et cetera. And the same thing. I mean, I think we might see stuff with Dragon's Bane. If Dragonbane ends up having adventures that we can launch into, or if we have other things from Free League that we're able to create modules and settings for, that might be something we see in the future for those other games. Let's see. Ross Fulton, question rephrased: how much significance will be placed on a number of sessions for the on-site GM promotion? What GM promotion are you talking about, Ross? Because I don't know. Because everyone gets the same. What do you mean by GM promotion? I asked the place that was paid. They said view as disinformation similar to SPG. I'm related to the topic at hand, but players don't see the price they are paying anywhere that I can find correct. If you have Tal'Dorei and Wildmount as settings, but both of those would probably be in Exandria, right? Odd Squirrel, yeah, I think that's actually correct. I think that's what needs to probably change. Okay, cool. The one I just talked about, Ross, are you talking about the DMG celebration? Because that, just anyone who participates will be, will be able to participate in that. There will probably be something very similar to the Player's Handbook celebration, where you can get access to the DMG a little early if you sign up and you are approved. But anyone who has the new DMG or is running the new 2024 rules will be able to participate in the next event with Wizards of the Coast for the Dungeon Master's Guide celebration. Okay. But what we need a good name for that event. The event is, I think we might just go with the Dungeon Master Guide celebration, but it's all about learning how to DM, and it's also about a bunch of new games and the 2024 rules. So if you end up with a good title for that event, let me know. Right now, it's just the DMG celebration. Rossful, no problem. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. I think we've gotten to everything. I think now we can talk about starter set. Let's see. Do I have anything else on my list here? There is space. There is pirates themes right now. Tactical. No, tactical is probably going to stay in how crunchy the game is as far as combat. But that might be something to consider in the future. Sarah's the best SPG admin spectacular featuring DMG. That's actually a pretty good name too. Let's see. Instant payouts. Instant payouts is something that's currently still being worked on. Referral touchpoint. We did that. DME 101. GM skip pending. Okay, I got nothing in my old notes. So let's go ahead and talk starter set. Oh my gosh, let's do this. Okay. Go here. All right. I want to make sure I can get my I have chat here too. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, team. I'm just trying to make sure I have everything set up to share this. I want to share my screen. Cancel. Screen share. Browser? Screen share. right. Whoop. That's not the thing I want to share. All right. We want to window capture. And we want to capture. There we go. Okay. Welcome, team. I'll be over here. There's not a good way to do this. He just wants to be able to see my face. This is the Learn to Play landing page for Starter Set. There we go. Okay. So, this, again, it tells, learn together with new players. Don't worry about character creation. What do you need to play the game? We make it easy. Start playing some quick numbers here. Frequently asked questions. What do we need to play? What is a professional dungeon master? What are the adventures like? Start playing as official partner of Dungeons and Dragons. Some other goodness. What people are saying. So this is kind of like this is our beta page right now. Keep in mind, this page might change. It'll probably change a few times because there's like some placeholder images in there. We saw behind the curtain. Yeah, you did. Okay. Let's see. See if there's any questions about this real quick. Okay, great. So, learn to play games. There's some things we've decided like how this is going to work, and we haven't decided yet to like how GMs will be selected. But there's probably going to be an application coming soon to be involved in the testing. We're going to test Starter Set for 2 to 3 months because that test is going to start probably in November, go to December, and January. Some things to know about this. Let's actually go through it. Let's join a game. So how much experience do you have playing D&D? This needs to be D and D. That still needs to get fixed. But we say, hey, I've never played before. Great. We'll match you with other new players and Dungeon Master who's great for teaching new players. Great. I go next. Do you have a laptop, desktop, or computer with microphone? Yeah, I have a desktop. Cool. Excellent. Your Dungeon Master will have pre-made characters, virtual dice, and everything else. And then you say, when do you want to play? And here's all the different times. And so like, okay, I want to play Saturday at 8 p.m. I go next. Great. Here are the GMs that I can play with. I can go here and I can see the reviews. I can see all 40 of the reviews. Great. Fantastic stuff. And then I can go, boom, and check out, and I'm good to go. And then once I hit confirm request, boom, I'm booked. And right now, this actually doesn't check anyone out. This is just a prototype, but it's a live production prototype. Talkify. What happens if they say no to question 2? So if they say no, unfortunately, I learned to play games requiring microphone and desktop laptop. You can browse other games that might work better here. If they click this, I wonder if it's live. Nope, it doesn't. But this will take them to a play-by-post search result. So this will take them to play-by-post games, or play-by-post in text-based games. So that's what happens if they answer no here. If they answer no here, you're looking for a campaign, one shot. I'm looking for a campaign. Do I have a specific game in mind? Yeah, I'm actually looking for Morkborg. That's actually funny. You can't find Morkborg with M-O because Morkborg has the umlaut. Okay. Next, I want to play on Wednesdays. Next, and it just takes you to search and sets you up with the game. Okay. So this, right? So if you are a GM and you want to participate, you have to fill out whatever application we end up launching with. But something else to keep in mind is there are things that you cannot change when creating a starter set game. Now, people who are given access to starter set, when they go to create a new template, they're going to be asked, would you like to create a new standard template or a new starter set template? If you choose starter, and remember, no one has access to this yet. No, I'm just talking about the future. So please be mindful about the information you spread. Because I know someone in Discord is going to say, I don't have starter set in my templates. So please, team. So once those that are approved will have access to Starter Set, it'll show up when they click New Template. And New Template will then give them a new dialog box that says, do you want a standard template or a Starter Set template? Because we envision in the future, there'll be a number of different Starter Set templates for different publishers, for different VCTs, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, Bob Yo, yes, please be mindful, being very demure of the information you spread. So that is kind of what to expect once you get access. And when you go to make the actual template, you can only edit certain things on the template. Other things will be locked. Things that will be locked are like the price, the title. Things that you'll be able to edit are like the description, the content warnings. But things that will be locked are like the safety tools. Things like that. So there's going to be things that are required of GMs to use certain safety tools, set a certain price. All the games are 2 hours, so you can't change the hours of the game. Oh, I'm odd squirrel. No. Okay. So there's a lot of like cool things that the Starter Set does, and part of that is standardization for new players. And so we know that if we send anyone to this game, we can tell them what to expect, and we can do this in mass. Because the goal is we want like 500 new players going through this flow a week. That would be great. Now, 95% of games on is it this way? This way, yeah. 95% of games in the Starter Set should fire. 95% of games in Starter Set should fire. So that means if you end up getting one player booked in your Starter Set game, that game will fire. There's a 95% chance it will fire. Why is that? Well, because one of the requirements is that every game has to be 2 to 6 players. That's how many folks can fit in it, 2 to 6. But if you only get one player in it, we are going to put a seat filler in your game so that that player absolutely will get to play. So here's something we notice, right? Move this over here. Here's something we notice all the time. If a player has a fantastic time with their GM, okay, they give them a great review because they had a good time, there's a 65% chance that player will play with that GM for 14 months afterwards. So there's a high likelihood of really high retention, right? And usually we see those same players will like leave a game and rebook with that same GM, usually because of schedule. So most GMs will end up keeping players that have a fantastic time with them. So we want to make it really easy for you to get these new players to then be able to have them in your other games. So Starter Set is kind of like it's a lead generation tool. So you might end up running a game for only one paid player, but hopefully that paid player ends up retaining, becoming a longtime player. But like you might end up running another Starter Set game and you end up with 6 new players because that one just booked up fully. So the goal of Starter Set is to make sure every game fires, because we know if a player actually plays in a game with the GM, there's a high likelihood they're going to have a great time on start playing, and also they're going to retain with that GM. So, but now one of the things that you got to keep in mind, the seat fillers we're putting in, that won't count towards your seat cost. So that's going to be a free seat, and that's just because like if there's only one person that booked, we want to make sure they're playing with another person, so we're going to book that. But hopefully, because we start seeing that happen, we're going to use this funnel. Actually, let me tell you about how we're ranking this to start. So if I go here and I say yes, I choose a time. And I have these 2 GMs. These GMs are being chosen because we know that they have either a seat already booked or they have some level of seats booked. Because right now, if they have 1 seat booked, we definitely want to show them in that time slot. If they have 2 seats booked, we want to show them. If they have 5 seats booked, we're probably going to show someone who has 1 seat booked over someone who has 5 seat booked. So we make sure that everyone has as close to 3 to 5 players as possible. So that's kind of one of the goals. Let me see. Remember, if you have questions, type !questions. So I know there's a question. I can stop and read it. Are we expected to run specific content for Starter Set, the Mosaic Life? Yes, it's got to be standard Dungeons & Dragons, Forgotten Realms kind of setting. A lot of times we've interviewed players who are brand new, and when they see a Learn to Play game, like, oh, it's a Learn to Play Spelljammer game, and they're like, oh, I don't know what this is, and this feels like it's too advanced. We want it to be really kind of run-of-the-mill, high fantasy, Forgotten Realms, D&D. He does. I mean, it doesn't have to be Forgotten Realms. It just has to be generic enough fantasy that it's kind of what everyone who expects D&D is kind of like what a great intro to it. Like, you got your orcs, your goblins, or your wolves, or something that's really baseline, 2-hour adventure, nothing too complicated, nothing with different themes that then people have to understand, like, oh, this is different from standard D&D. Like, if you're saying, hey, I'm going to run a Learn to Play, but it's actually a vampire game and everyone's playing vampires and you're learning how to play D&D, but you're vampires, that's not good. That's not good. It should just be like a very generic high fantasy adventure. But we do not have a specific adventure in mind that you have to run. But you should be ready to change your content on a dime, because we're going to be using the Deck of Player Safety, which is essentially kind of like the RPG consent checklist, but at the start of the game, because it's one of the easiest things for a new player. We showed an RPG consent checklist to a new player ahead of time, like, wow, are all these things normally in games? So it's one of those things where they didn't really understand. Then they felt like this is a lot to go through. There's a lot of things to select here. That's a lot of work for a one-shot. For a campaign, it makes a lot more sense. People are being really thoughtful. But the Deck of Player Safety is a very easy, it takes 2 minutes to do, and everyone can go ahead and put in the things that they want avoided in the game. With that, the other reason is we were going to do lines and veils, but players also didn't really know what to add into that lines and veils list. They kind of needed some suggestions, and so that's why we're doing the Deck of Player Safety. Okay. There was another question here. Will starter sets be for one-shots, campaigns, or both? Faux Phoenix, it'll be just for one-shots. Spooky October events to sneak peek at. Nothing I can talk about yet, but there will be something with Vampire the Masquerade I can talk about later. GM Ryan Adams, when does the seat filler get added? What if we want to try to fill with more paid players first, or can we get rid of the seat filler after we get more so we can fill it up? Yes, GM Ryan Adams, absolutely. We usually will drop the seat filler after 2 paid players join. But day of, we're going to be adding seat fillers to games that only have 1 paid player in them. Okay. Great question though. The Dreams Gone question: will seat fillers be vetted? Yes, we're picking them by hand. They're folks of Start Playing. It might even be some of Start Playing staff. No, you won't be able to decide on the seat filler, Dreams. It'll be automatically assigned. And that's, but if that is kind of a deal breaker, that's something that you're going to have to agree on for the application to participate in Starter Set. What is the price for Starter Set games? $15 is what we're starting with, but we do want to A/B test that in the future and kind of try higher prices, 15, 20, and 25. But we're starting at 15 because that's what tested really well in our user studies. Oh yeah, totally. We hopefully get the Dreams. One of the big things we want to get to is we want to get to a critical mass where seat fillers aren't needed, because the system is actually just essentially funneling the right players to the right GMs. But to start off, we want to make sure every game fires, and so we have to do a little bit of manual work here. Shidness, you're more than welcome to not participate if you don't want to have seat fillers, but it's one of the requirements to make sure these games run with at least 2 players. I'm going to piggyback on Squirrel. Can you show us what the Deck of Player Safety looks like? Just because it sounds great. I've never seen it. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Deck Player Safety. All right. Okay. Let's see. Deck of Player Safety. So you come in here. And you click this, get this link. And when you paste the link, we have to do it in a new incognito tab. Sorry. Okay. This is what you end up getting when you share that link. The link that we gave everyone, or the link that I copied and pasted into an incognito tab, is what you send to your players. And they go through and they just choose anything that they want, so they can put a custom topic. Anything goes. They say, you know what? I don't want player versus player. I don't want mental illness. And I don't want harm to domestic animals. And I submit those cards anonymously. And then those cards get submitted. And then we wait for the other players. If I go back here, I can go ahead and lock and reveal. And I'll show you what this looks like. Ba-ba-ba. And it says, harm to animals, mental illness. I have this open in another page, and so it's causing a glitch. But this, it then shows you what everyone has picked. So it's all anonymous. It's a really good tool for essentially saying, like, hey, you know, this is what I want in my game. This is what I don't want in my game. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Ba-ba-ba. Go back here. Is that working? Okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so the deck of player safety, it's like the fastest thing we can use to get brand new players accustomed with the game. All right, let me go back to your questions. Question, what is the price for stars? Oh, we are talking about question. I'm going to piggyback and scroll. Can you show what deck of player safety looks like? Question, presumably the auto seat fillers is only a person's selecting. I've never played and for D&D. Yes, it's only for starter set games. Targify. It's only for starter set games. Okay, let me know if that makes sense, because the funnel only works for starter set games. Rossful, how's the GM get on the vetted list? Where can I audition? There'll probably be something coming from Sarah in the next week or so. Talkify hit enter too soon, but I'm assuming other systems won't have a quick start aspect from the landing page just to further help people get search what they're looking for. Yes, so the starter set where you kind of choose your GM, right now that's starting just with D&D, but hopefully if it works for D&D, we'll expand it to other publishers. I showed this to the folks over at Marvel, and they were very interested in it. So there's opportunities to expand this in other systems if it works. But we can get critical mass, we can understand the success of it with D&D first. If they're plain, why does it matter if they found it through a totally random search? Clockwise, the seat fillers are folks that we are choosing. We are coming up with a prepared list of seat fillers that we're going to use for this program, and to make sure that all the games fire. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. That's a neat tool. Dreaming God, that's really nice. I like the more specific terms, lines and veils. Question, I guess my question about the auto seat fillers is if someone you recognize as potential not being a good fit for your filler versus the auto filters. My question about the auto seat fillers, these are not GMs. These are people that we are approving that we have on our vetted list. These aren't people from the current SPG like GM community. Shitness. These are folks that we are hiring specifically for this role. So I think maybe that might be the confusion. Let me know. Pro question, is that deck available for GMs to use outside of the starter games? Piero, yes, it's a free tool. It's being added to the safety tools this week, maybe. Yes. So big fucking sword. Wait, no, hold on. Big sword. Yes, this is, there's already a term, but we're using a different tool. We are essentially selecting like 10 seat fillers that are people we know, that we trust, that we understand, they understand the assignment rather than just a GM helping out, that are going to be doing this. Sorry that Shitness, I'm sorry that I didn't clarify that better in the first place. That's on me. Just noticed the date in the video is wrong. It's one day off. Oh, it is. How many paid seat fillers do you have already? We have about 5 to 6. And the thing is, like, some of them are, it might be me. And it might just be me showing up by game, or it might be Sarah or Hunter or Nate or someone from the staff, or someone who is kind of a close friend of the of Start Playing. Will we indicate availability for starter set by individual date? Oh, this Mosaic Live, thank you so much. This is a fantastic question. Starter sets are set times. So if you are going to run a game, let's see. Let me go ahead and find starter set hard-coded template. So let's say you're going to run a starter set game, right? And you create a new adventure, and you select, hey, I'm going to run my game on Saturday. There's only 8 time slots you can run on Saturday, and you decide Friday. There's only 6 time slots that you can select on those days. These are predetermined time slots that we believe will help fill up with newbies as best as possible. There's going to be an option for newbies to say, hey, this time doesn't work for me, to maybe gather future times, but that will be there'll be very select time slots. Now you can select any day you want. The starter set funnel will only show 2 weeks out. If you choose 30 days out, your game will then populate in 14 days. It'll then show up in the funnel when it's only 2 weeks out. So you can schedule as far out as you want for starter set, but you can only select certain times when scheduling. Odd Squirrel, can we take a pay cut to have you at the table? Here's the thing. I am looking for a new game, so I have been looking at some GMs because I'm looking to hire a GM for a little project. Okay. Learn to play Dungeons and Dragons, one shot. To start, it will be using D&D Beyond will be required, and D&D Maps will be required along with Discord. Those will be the platforms that are required for this. So you got to run the game on Discord, D&D Maps for the actual virtual tabletop portion of it, and then D&D Beyond. That is something to kind of keep in mind because this beginning of this funnel will probably be from the D&D Beyond. Do these time slots take European playing into consideration? Are they focused in North America? So Jor's Weed, yes, it'll be just North America because we'll be advertising in just North America to test this funnel. If it works, we'll probably start expanding time slots, and we'll probably start expanding there'll probably be a regional thing too. Like if we see that you're coming in from if you're in Germany, you might get a different list of games presented. But right now you'll have to be in North American time. Great question, though. Will there be starter set games 7 days a week? Tuesday. Okay. All right. That question's deleted. But yes, starter set will be 7 days a week. We might not do Monday because, Monday just kind of sucks. Maybe we'll do Monday. I don't know. Might be too early to tell. The games all will be instant book. They'll all be public. They'll all have an hour cutoff time. The time slots Monday through Friday are going to be 3 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Pacific, and 8 p.m. Pacific. For Saturday and Sunday is 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Pacific, and 9 p.m. Pacific. The starter set games, once you create a template and one, they'll show up in your one-shots tabs. They're all hard-coded templates. That's kind of the good stuff about it. Ryan Whistler, I guess I'll wait for Starter Set Project that allows the use of other VTTs. Yeah, Ryan Whistler, there'll probably be something where we expand into, Roll20 is also very interested in this. As publishers want to go deeper with our relationships, this is a great path for them to get people to use or get people in their games, but also great for VTTs because Roll20 wants this. Alchemy's probably going to be very interested in something like this for their games as well. And so the VTTs that we're working with, this is a great path to get people in games that are using their VTT. Question, a particular VTT required? I didn't catch that. Yes, Keith Langley. For the very beginning one, the very first one, it'll be D&D Maps. D&D Beyond Maps, yeah. You should do a version of The Bachelor, but it's the player to find your GM match. Y'all, actually, I've been thinking about some really cool ideas. I wanted to do a Game Master Olympics. And it's probably something once we're a little bit bigger and I have a little bit larger of staff working under me. But there is an idea of doing a GM Olympics, which I thought would be really fun. Different events like crafting, world building, combat running, voices, and you have all the different events, and you have different ways to compete in them. That kind of your idea of the D&D Bachelor kind of brought that up to me. Okay. I think that's everything. Let's see. Is there anything else? Anything else I should look here? We're working on preventing search manipulation with a new tool that kind of prevents people from double scheduling. That's in the works. Yeah, and we're gonna redo the game page. The essentially the product page, the PDP, the product description page, which is your adventure listing that players see. We're gonna revamp that. We're gonna revamp the homepage soon. So those are some other things that are coming up in the works. Okay. Other great questions, team. D&D Trivia Net for GMs. D. Ursine, I actually used to run D&D Trivia on Twitch and YouTube. It was called Quizzes of the Coast. It was great. Okay, cool. I guess no more questions? Everyone's good? Everyone's got their stuff answered? Everyone's got what they need? Will charity games return? And if so, when? DM Bobbio, yes, October and November are our next charity games. And I forget the charity that is picked for October, but it's focused on Hispanic heritage. And then November, I believe we're going to be working again with Illuminative. Thank you. So many people have accidentally double scheduled. Someone almost double listed and caught in the last moment. Maps is really intuitive and super easy to pick up. I've been DMing with it a little bit now. Ryan Whistler, question. Will I be able to maneuver reviews on our profile soon or highlight them? Ryan Whistler, actually what we talked about in the very, very beginning. And it's kind of what players were looking for and what GMs were looking for. We did a big survey and we asked GMs what they wanted. And GMs were like, we want to be able to have our reviews pinned. That was kind of the top for GMs. And the second was, sorting by superlative. Like GMs like, oh, I love it. People can sort by my reviews by superlative. Like what, people who viewed me this the most, etc. And then the next was by verified sessions. So being able to see the most sessions. Players though wanted verified sessions was the first thing they wanted to be able to see reviews by. The second thing they wanted is to be able to sort by highest and lowest reviews. The third thing they said out of the list of 6 was a GM with a pinned review. So the thing that we are noticing that overlaps both is the volume of sessions played is most important to players and GMs collectively. That's probably what we'll see as the start, but we're still kind of exploring to see how players would view a pinned review. We have maybe 78 people who actually wrote something that we're going to kind of read through in their surveys to see if there's a lot of trust behind that. Ryan, let me know if that answers your question. Bob Williams, question. Why aren't there any times set for East on starter games? Bob Williams, every time is an Eastern time. I just said the Pacific time because I work in Pacific time, and so I'm not going to do any time math for myself. But if you heard me talk about them, I did say 3 p.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Eastern. Does that make any sense? Does that make sense, Bob? Thanks. Talkify, you mentioned revamping profile, or was that just the review changes? Yes, we are going to revamp the profile as well. There's a number of things we're looking at. We talked to a number of players. We found 3 things that players really care about, and it's I really want to figure out what the GM's vibe is, what their play style is. But players weren't that. There wasn't as much interest as I thought to watch a video. They want to be able to discern that from reading something. Let's see. Sejor's weed, time math, the worst kind of math. You fucking said it. Question, can volume of sessions played also include zero cost games? Because I've ran free games. No, because there's no way for us to tell that, and people can farm those even if they weren't real. Are we going to remove the video link at the bottom right of our profiles? Shouldn't us? Maybe. That seems still to do pretty well with new players, but that video is probably going to change to a new video. But who knows? We haven't even started the mock-ups of the new player profile, and we're going to go through with new players, and we're going to ask them what they think, and we're going to see if we're going to first see how it does when we actually talk to people, and if it does well, then we'll remove it. If it doesn't do well, then we'll keep it, along with a number of other things. That's fair. If I have time to watch a video, then I'm at a screen where I could be in a game, pin reviews. How are most people finding your platform? Sporina. I would say probably 30% of people are finding our platform. Well, here's what's cool. this is like a really fun thing. When we advertise more, we see our word of mouth go up because there's this cool effect that happens. If you get 5 new players that come because you advertise to them, right? 2 to 3, right around 2 of those players is going to tell their friends about it, right? So you get 5 players, but you're actually getting 7 players, right? And then those 2 players are going to tell, they usually will tell 2 friends each, right? And then, but the people they tell, they don't use as much word of mouth as the people we get through advertising. So the people who we get through advertising are usually the ones who are the ones that are also going to tell their friends. The people who tell their friends are telling people who we normally wouldn't get through advertising, but the people that the people that they bring in aren't likely to bring in other people through word of mouth. And a lot of this happens through our referral code too. So we give people $10 in credit when they sign up with that referral code. They can spend however they want on the platform. That does really, really well as well. Really well in addition. So I would probably say like maybe 30 to 40 is all from kind of performance ads. And then we have, of course, like SEM ads, which probably accounts for, 20 or 30 itself, along with word of mouth, kind of taking up some of the rest, a lot of brand. The thing is, we notice a lot of people, once they know about us, they come to us once they're ready. So it's also just getting in front of people. Talkify question. This is kind of out there, but are there any specific metrics that SBG looks for when they're looking for at successful GMs, like games run per week, overall income, or anything like that? Talkify, yes. We look for the reliability of that GM. Now, reliability is a cold vacuum number, right? It's not a nuanced number. But if there's enough data points, we can tell how reliable a GM is. So if you were running 3 games a week, we can tell how reliable of a GM you are because we can tell how often you cancel a game, how often you run a game, and there's enough data to really say, cool, like this cancel, this is probably they're probably sick or someone, or, oh, nope, looks like the players dropped out of this. So this actually overall is a pretty reliable GM. So reliability is one of the biggest things we look at because we know that players stick with reliable GMs. So the most reliable GMs have the stickiest of players. So that's really what we look at is kind of reliability. So things that you can do to be reliable is when a game happens, you're running it. Games don't get canceled as much. And so if you currently have your game set as active and you're recruiting, but you keep canceling the session every week because you don't have enough players, you should switch your game to pending because on the back end, when we're looking at people, that looks like you're not reliable. Now, of course, we go in a lot of times to say, oh, what's going on here? I'm like, oh, this person is just using pending and active wrong. That's what's happening here. But if when we vet people and we kind of like look at like, oh, who should we involve in this? We look for that. And we also look for people who are like when we choose to like participate in our events, people who are big proponents of start playing, people who are like excited. If we give them a player, they're going to be excited to bring that player into the fold. And the same type of GMs who are like positive and like really excited about this are also the ones like, oh, this player isn't a good fit for me. But Daniel loves to run really high tactical games and this player loves that. I'm going to introduce this player to Daniel. Like that kind of stuff. That's the kind of GMs we look for. So we look for like GMs who are really positive and hyped about what they do. People are really excited about their work and about like the kind of like the fact that they're a pro GM and they're a really boon to the community. Those are the people that we also like look for. So there's kind of like this quantitative and qualitative aspects that we look for in GMs. Does that answer your question, Talkify? Storyweaver. Have you surveyed players for their thoughts on seat fillers? Do they not care at the table and are not paying? We haven't done it in a while, but we did maybe about a year and a half ago. And they're like, oh yeah, I've played, like they have their friends in there because they're just starting out. And it seems that they just kind of like, most people just kind of get it. And I think, again, it always reminds me of like when I go to my buddy's restaurant, I get free cheeseburgers for life at my buddy's restaurant, but I always bring people with me. So even though I'm not paying anything, like I'm always in there with at least 3 or 4 other people. And it kind of things like that. No one in my group thinks to themselves, well, this restaurant is unfair. Why does Devin get free stuff? They're usually like, what, how's that work? And I tell them like, oh, that's cool. Okay. Let's see. Question: does a new GM that hasn't landed any players yet stand a chance of being selected for the starter kit games? No, Benjamin. Unfortunately, not. We need to make sure all these games absolutely launch, and new GMs that have no experience and start playing likely will not be picked for the beta test. This is a test to see if this actually is going to work, and that's why we have to go with people that have a proven track record of succeeding on the platform. And if it doesn't work, we know it's not because of the GMs; it's because the product didn't work. Because we're choosing our best GMs for this, and we don't know if you're our best GM yet because we have no track record. I know that kind of sucks, but that's part of the reality of, like, if we're gonna make something that's gonna work for the entire site, we have to test with folks that we know are a sure thing. Echo, most annoying thing I deal with is players that don't use start playing to mark that they can't attend and typically go with the role of 2 or more players cancel. I don't understand that, Echo. If you could rephrase that, or I actually, it might not even be a question. But I don't understand the question. I have a friend that's acting as a seat filler in a few of my games. Most players know and are cool with it. Question: how much of a track record is needed to run a starter set game? We don't know yet. I'm actually letting some other folks on the team to actually decide, like, what we should be the vetting option for our GMs. We might open it up to all GMs and then look to see who has applied and then kind of do on a curve. But I would say probably having run at least 50 games is probably something that we're going to expect. That's kind of like maybe the baseline I'd be looking at. Okay, let's see. Should we keep going through our funnel here? All right. We also have a bunch of, like, FAQs. How much does it cost? Do I need dice? What's a one shot? What do I need to play? All that jazz. Okay, we got some more questions here. What's the average number of views of a GM on Start Playing? I'll tell you this. I don't know the average number of views on Start Playing off the top of my head. Sprona, that's a really specific question. I'm curious. What do you think that information is going to benefit you? How do you, is it just random curiosity, or are you hoping to get this information because it's going to help you do X? Tell me what that is, because that's a very interesting question. Like, what is the average number of reviews of a GM on Start Playing, and how can it help you? Let me know in chat, because I'm very curious. I'm at 31 reviews. I want to know where I'm sitting at. Well, so you want to know how you are, because here's the thing. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you a better stat than number of reviews. Okay. There is a conversion rate at which the number of reviews does not seem to continue to escalate, i.e. the conversion rate of this number is the same as maybe 100. And that is 30. After 30 reviews, there seems to be a plateau in the actual conversion rate for GMs. So a GM who has 100 reviews converts at the same rate as someone with 30 reviews. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like 30 reviews is kind of what you want to shoot for to actually hit. Once you kind of hit 30 reviews, your conversion rate is pretty stable compared to GMs who have maybe 100 reviews. I was referring to when you said that if a GM cancels sessions, that would mark them a GM that cancels and isn't reliable, when I typically don't cancel unless 2 more players make a session. So, Encon, I'm actually, one of the big things is, like, does that happen to every game you run? Because that means you're unreliable. Does that happen to, a 10th of the games you run? Well, that means you're still pretty reliable. Has the minimum not been met on the player side? Like maybe 2 players end up skipping, right? And they say they're not going to attend. Well, that GM's probably still fairly reliable. Let's think about different events that happen and put a weight to them. So a player skipping, that's a game not happening because a player skips. That's not that big as if a GM is canceling a game because the GM can't make it, right? That's a lot more unreliable. So I think of things kind of on a what do you call it? A scale, right? Some things are really unreliable, some things are mildly unreliable, and some things are unreliable, and some things are incredibly reliable. So that's how that's kind of looked at. It's a sliding scale of reliability based off of the different actions that are taken. Okay. I don't think review question. Wouldn't that mean the players are unreliable? Players being able to skip a session is a newish feature. Players being able to skip a session has been around for about 3 years. Maybe 4. I think it was an OG feature. I think Utscroll is the biggest thing for me is that over 30 is nice, but I have reviews for different systems, and once people can sort reviews, that might help. Ashley Mullen, nothing below 4 digits impresses me. That's a lot of reviews. Okay, team, I think that's it. I think we did it. It's two. I think I have a user interview I got to get to. Do I have something right now? I have a user interview. Oh, no. I added a little bit of buffer time. Okay. Enco, no pre-rare, but my 2 campaigns do have players that skip and don't mark their start playing because they always message me on Discord. But Enco, you have the ability to hit the skip button for the player. You have that tool that shows that they are skipping. So use that because that's indicating that the player is skipping. Okay. Team, thank you so much. I hope you all had a fantastic Tuesday. I will be back in 2 weeks back here. Not next week, but probably the week after that, maybe 2-3 weeks for our next office hours to talk about what is coming next. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Bye.
Grab your rogue friend, a ranger, and some casters. Time to roll, have a good time, but don't burn down the tavern. Let's burn down the tavern. Time for total party chill. There's a critical hit, critical fail. Hold your head, see that dragon, we can slay it.